Person 77, so your energy manifests on the Rainbow Road and you turn into this puppy. And I know this puppy from the movie Anastasia. Not a Disney movie, but like a Disney movie. And this puppy, it's like got a hair kind of covering its eye, and it's like flopping around, and it's chasing these little magical and this happens in the movie. I think it's from the bad guy, but that wasn't necessarily a component of this, but it's chasing these like magical kind of fairies, and it's like flopping around chasing these magical little things, and then I start to see you as this puppy, or the energy of the puppy. So I'm getting playful and eager, and you're chasing magic. So I'm getting like there's this chase for I'm just attaching it to spirituality, and then I see these from the movie Brave. Now we're in a Disney movie with Merida. When she's little, her mom explains these wisps, these blue little wisps, and they're the magic wisps, and they lead you to your destiny. And so these little magical fairies turn into these blue wisps, and now you're this puppy chasing and following these wisps, and they like appear and reappear and appear and reappear on this path, like laying out this path for you. And they lead you to this big door, and you're like so playful and eager, and like that you want what's behind that door, and these wisps kind of move behind the door, and now it's just this big door that's blocking you kind of from your destiny. And I get that there's like such eagerness and such a want, a need to like get through that door, but it's like you're being blocked, and I'm getting in time. And so then I stay and I watch, and this puppy turns from a puppy to like an adult dog, and like now it's time. So now you're given access and you're allowed to go in the door. So I'm getting that there's a time factor here. And so I'm very much so connecting this to like let's see, I get that you're somebody maybe who wants to do kind of like what I do, and not necessarily exactly what I do, but I get you're somebody who wants to connect into this energy and connect into your own energetic field and be very clear, very, receptive to the energy, and be able to sense what's going on. And so that's the path that I'm getting. And I'm getting that there's a time element here, that I get that you're seeing that end destiny, and you know what your destiny is, or you know really what you want in this spiritual field, but there's such an eagerness to have it right now. But I get that there's a time element here. So as you move into the door, you're kind of in this room, and then you run right to the other side, and you take this big diving leap off, and now we're moving through the next portal, and you like swan dive down into water. And so I'm getting we're in the sacral chakra, which is emotional body, and so I'm getting that there's something within the emotional body that is holding you back from moving forward into the next phase of your journey. And an emotional body is, and I hate to say, but it's like the hardest. So, to clear your emotional body, it takes a lot of work. And so the next thing I see is yours was really quick and very to the point of what they were trying to convey. So I see now you're moving up the stairs to your Akashic records, and it's this huge cement staircase. If you're looking at it from like a side perspective, now I see you getting out of the water, and like in a two-dimensional plane, I see you walking up like, the zigzag, the linear kind of line that just zigzags straight up like a staircase, and it's all cement, and it goes all the way up into the sky. So I know we're going from the sacral chakra area all the way up into crown chakra. So I get there's this ascension process, this ascension path that you're taking, but it was these minute tiny stairs, and it felt like a long steep road. And don't think linear, like, oh my god, it's going to take forever to get there. That's not. It's just they're trying to emphasize that there's some time involved, and there's some work that needs to be done, and it's probably going to be tedious from these stairs. And this is typical for anybody seeking out this kind of connection. And so I get that there's these stairs, and I see you climbing all the way up the stairs, and finally you get to this huge cement like castle in the sky. It's almost like a fortress, not a castle. And I see you go to the door and you open the door and you move into the inside of the Akashic records, and it's a big open chamber, like what you would think a protective wall from the outside of a castle, and then you get into the internal wall and it's all open and exposed to the sky. And so you're inside this first protective layer, and now there's these birds that are like diving down out of the clouds and almost trying to like pick you off. And so I'm getting, what I conclude is there's there's vulnerability and like a sense of needing to be exposed. And that connects perfectly with emotional body stuff. So sacral chakra stuff, and sacral chakra like to attach to the emotional body. So I get that there's going to be a need for you to be very vulnerable and exposed in your process to really clear what you're holding on to in your emotional body. And I would love to sit here and give you a magic answer of like how to start clearing stuff in your emotional body. But it's like one of the hardest things when you're not clear in your emotional body, you can't read energy clearly. There's too many emotional ties from past life, future concerns, things happening in your life, like you're too emotionally connected. And don't get this as a bad thing. It's like to be able to read the energy of a situation clearly, you can't have emotional connection to it. And this was the hardest thing for me to clear. Everything has an emotional tie, and so you have to start doing a lot of a self-actualizing process, really clearing your dense energy, the things that are no longer serving you, and start to understand, why you do what you do, your thought processes. And you have to understand, what kind of emotional indicators you're tied into, and you have to detach from the emotional body. And this makes you very vulnerable and you feel very exposed. And that's the only way to start clearing that emotional body to move into the higher kind of levels of receiving energy. And then you get into the mental body and then into the spiritual body. So I call down your higher self, and your higher self comes down, and now everything inside this internal castle changes to represent like a big roaring fire, like red, oriental rugs, huge throne-like chairs. And so now we're in your highest wisdom, and this part of your energy comes down. And I say, what's for the greatest good for this person to know at this moment in time? And I'm sorry, you're gonna hate me, but they basically say you have to put in the work. You have to do the work right now. You have to clear yourself to be able to receive in the method in which you're hoping to receive or connect. And, I say receive, I'm thinking, my process, but, it might just be connecting, having more clarity for that destiny, that, what's behind that door that you're hoping for, this eagerness. And it could just be a project, if we're not talking spirituality here, it could be just a big project. So, whatever it is that you sense that's behind that door that's waiting for you, it's like you have a really good understanding of what's waiting for you, and you have this total eagerness and like drive to do it. But it's going to require work, and we all hate to hear this, right? But and you can do this, you can do this just intentionally by saying, I want, every morning you wake up, you could as easily as this just say, I intend to know what I need to know today to move forward. Or, my intention is to clear what is no longer serving me. So allow me to be aware of what is no longer serving me so that it can be cleared from my field. And so then everything you're holding on to that's not serving you, it's going to come up, and it's going to be intense. Emotional body stuff is always, it's directly tied to emotions, and it's going to have you start to separate from the emotion of living in that emotion, and start to separate and use that emotion to indicate to you where something is no longer serving you in your life. So with light and love.